fancy meeting you on the YouTube live stream. I just figured I'd make a video about the Chidaflare, the flare from Chida. So of course now we usually have screen sharing and you usually see me down here in a little corner right down here like this. But now I'm here at a place where instead of being down here in the corner like this, I'm over here. So it's different in that I'm not showing you my computer screen, right? And I just wanted to remind everybody that clearly the last solar flare that we've seen here, this X-class flare, which just occurred, we just saw an X-class flare here, and it's clear that it's baited Chida. So figured we'd do a quick stream here about the Chidaflare. There was an X-class solar flare, yes, and it was clearly made in Chida because we don't have any proton events yet. So, for example, the first M-class flare that we saw was sent protons that showed up at Earth in only 20 minutes. But this latest X-class flare, we don't see any proton events yet, so obviously it's baited Chida. Okay, Chida. Probably a cheap plastic flare, the kind of flare that if you drop it on a linoleum floor, it'll just break into tiny pieces. Or be rebuildable, but if you rebuild it, it'll never go back together again because it's baited Chida. So that seems like the kind of flare that this was. We'll have to update you later as to whether or not there was a coronal mass ejection. It's probably still too early to check, but we will put up a thing. I would have put up a GIF animation, but YouTube doesn't allow me to post images of certain dimensions. So if you follow us on Twitter, or if you go to smashomash.com/smashteam and click on posts, you'll find a GIF animation in those places already of the recent X-class flare. Yes, the Chidaflare is what this one's going to be named. We usually don't name flares at the Smash News Network, these Busted Name of News, because it's fairly arbitrary. I mean, somebody's probably naming flares. Eugene, leave us a comment. Let us know what your naming convention is for flares. And yes, you should label this one, quote, the Chidaflare, if you don't mind. And yeah, that's about it. I just figured I would briefly live stream about this crucial development. So the flare clearly made by a spacecraft or something in between the Earth and the Sun at Lagrange point 1, baited China, detonated directly over the U.S. Okay, it's clearly that. It's clearly on purpose. Okay, shutting down high frequency radio communications. Oh my God. All right. So yeah, if anybody's got any comments, drop them in the live chat. And thanks for tuning into the live stream about the elusive, the scary, the spooky, the Chidaflare. So I guess that's really about it. Again, no screen shares at the moment for you. I was thinking about getting on the computer for this live stream, but I decided against it for all kinds of reasons. Sorry about that. I forgot to turn my ringer off before streaming live. There we go. That's better. Yes. So that's about it, folks. The flare was made in China. Otherwise, it would be scarier. And we'll come back with another video soon. Make sure you watch our previous videos from the day. We made some pretty crazy recent videos. The last several on the playlist they're quite spectacular. Yes. So coming at you promptly when these things occur. And yeah, some of it's just lucky timing too. Like if you just happen to be looking at a thing and a thing occurs, then there you are. There you are in the place when the thing occurs. So cheers. And of course, I'm actually wearing welding glasses inside now because I'm very concerned about X-rays. Oh no, you know the ecliptic is that way. So oh knows. Just kidding, folks. They're not detectable on the ground because they get filtered in the mesosphere and they get absorbed by the upper layers of Earth's atmosphere. That's why we need spacecraft to use as X-ray detectors. And of course, oh, that brings me to another point. We need an X-ray detector at Lagrange point 5 or Lagrange point 4. Eugene will agree with me on this one. Chidaflare is a flare baited Chida, okay? A Chinese Chidaflare. A cheap Chinese Chidaflare that can't even kill anybody. That just, it's just, oh, the Chidaflare. It's like made of cheap plastic. It doesn't produce proton events. It shuts down radio communications a little bit technically, but you know, nobody turns to a pillar of salt or anything like that. No thunderbolts from the gods happen. The universe doesn't mysteriously become electric. None of these things occur. None of these things occur, especially with a Chida flare. If it was a flare, like, I don't know, a flare, instead of being made by several Chidamen, be made by like a couple Americans or something like that. I mean, it would be like the Ferrari of flares. You know, it would somebody would spontaneously human combust mysteriously, and then other people on YouTube would also blame the flare for the spontaneous human combustion. So perhaps if you find a pile of ashes where a person used to stand, and you know you can verify that they vaporized by having them on security camera or something like that, then yeah, make sure you document that. We'll bring it up on the channel too. I always like to try to debunk weird mysteries. By the way, for everybody that I forgot to make a video update on this one. We put up some videos. I think it's in our nature segment, nature get outside people playlist or something like that, on our playlist, you know, on YouTube. YouTube.com/smashamash/playlists or something like that. There's one in the nature section, which are security cameras, and they're not legit. There was some kind of light pollution coming from behind the cameras on the one, and the other one was a tree being illuminated that you couldn't see because part of the sky was dark or something. So the one that looked like a Lichtenberg pattern, that actually was a tree. So I accidentally verified this the next day by taking a screenshot of myself looking at the security camera. I realized that I'd taken video of a tree being illuminated somehow, like by car lights or something. So we debunked both of our own videos. And that's the way you do it, folks. That's the way you do it. You don't try to tell people that it's well, I mean it could be reptilians. Like maybe reptilians came in the room and turned the lights on the other one, which caused other weird anomalies. Anyway, the point is, debunk your most extraordinary theories, because if your most extraordinary theories are 100,000 to one incorrect, they're probably incorrect. If there are many other more plausible theories, yeah, your theory's probably wrong. Just saying. If you have no physics explanation for a crazy claim, and you claim a thing is going to happen, you you should probably try to back it up with some kind of plausible physics explanation. So this is kind of a similar argument that many people who have taken basic physics would have, that if planets are going to suddenly start doing real jerky things, that it requires several newtons of energy to do this, right? So you need to have a mechanism for this to occur. And the theories about, like look at our BitChute comments. We got one just a couple days ago on BitChute, right? Somebody said on some date, 2065 or something, the planet's going to stop spinning and then like spend a whole day just suspended and then start spinning the other way. It's like, really? Is that a thing? Okay. But why though? Why and how? There's never a why and how on this one. It's you hear these insane theories that are often debunked by people who've thought these things for decades. Like not all of these are that out there. And like people thinking that the galactic core is going to kill us. If you think that the galactic core of the Milky Way galaxy is going to do anything to you, you are out of touch with cosmology. I mean, it's so far away. It's like about 30,000 light years away, I think. It's not there's no evidence that there's any kind of galactic core cycle associated with the sun's activity. There are local stars and local giant X-ray binaries that are very rowdy objects that could have an influence on the behavior of the sun, probably to some degree. And so I guess I won't divulge those in this live stream. You can watch umpteen of our other videos and try to figure out the theory. But there, if you've ever heard of the local interstellar chimney, the local interstellar chimney is the local sort of galactic scale filamentary structure that surrounds the sun, and the sun's kind of moving toward the edge of it. It's kind of like one end of it probably points toward Deneb, and one end of it probably points toward Taurus, because that's sort of the motion of the entire group of local stars in the interstellar chimney. But with respect to those stars, the sun's moving a bit like orthogonally toward the galactic core. So, we call it real motion, and it's easier to measure the real motion of local stars than of distant stars. So anyway, the point is there are filamentary structures in the galaxy, but those filamentary structures don't make the galaxy behave like the solar system. The galaxy is nothing like the solar system, and things are very, very far apart from each other in space. People think that planets are like right next to each other because they're looking at diagrams that are not to scale. Planets are really freaking far apart. If you go to Saturn, Jupiter looks like a little point of light. Saturn is farther from Jupiter than Jupiter is from Mars. Each planet is a proportionally greater distance. There's like a curve of distance. It's not just like every planet is like a set distance. There's set distances from each other that's farther and farther. And that's part of the reason why people think the asteroid belt used to be a planet. Anyway, I should end this live stream because now I'm just babbling about random cosmology stuff for absolutely no reason. So anyway, leave us a comment. Go watch today's videos. There's lots of stuff going on. Stay tuned to see Aurora tonight. I've got an idea of a place to go to check it out. If we see them in Pennsylvania, it'll be interesting. So yeah, it's not expected. AccuWeather doesn't expect it to get this far south. I guess I kind of don't really either. But if we do see some, we'll be posting. In the meantime, watch our space weather videos. They are freaking spectacular the past couple of days. Holla! I'll talk to you when I do. Good luck, and may that solar wind be at your back.